Starlight Glimmer is a character from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, making her debut in the two-part premiere of Season 5, where Twilight and her friends discover a small village in the middle of nowhere being run by the aforementioned pony. They see that every pony there has the same equal sign cutie marks and very, very creepy smiles. Eventually, they discover that Starlight is the mastermind behind the equal cutie marks, using her magic to remove ponies' marks and the talents it grants them. She leads the main six into a trap, and Starlight steals their marks as well. Luckily, though, the main six manage to expose Starlight, chase her around for a bit, and get the cutie marks back. Twilight, being the princess of friendship, extends her hoof and tries appealing to the mare, but Starlight declines, swearing revenge, and escapes into the snowy mountains. And that was the last of her. Until the season finale where they act out Avengers Endgame. That was basically what the finale is, don't come at me. Starlight's history is both interesting and kinda iffy to me at the same time, so I'm switching some stuff around, adding things, removing things, etc. Just making it make more sense to me. I apologize if none of this makes any sense. I tried to make sure this was as cohesive as possible. So without further ado, let's begin. Firstly, let's talk about her history with Sunburst. When Starlight was a filly, she was besties with a colt named Sunburst. They hung out and played together like normal little ponies, until one day when Starlight almost gets killed by some falling books. Yeah, Sunburst used his magic to save her in a flashy fashion and got his cutie mark, running out excitedly past Starlight to show his family. Obviously, they were all very excited, walking off to parade him down the street. Starlight just stands there and watches as her friend gets sent off to Canterlot, proceeding to get butthurt and cry. That's it. That's literally it. I'm not kidding. She was just like, oh, well, I guess we're not friends anymore, because his parents shipped him off to boarding school. Oh, and because he got his cutie mark first or whatever. Bro, that's not even his fault that he left. His parents sent him to Canterlot. She didn't even try to get back in contact with him. She just stayed in her old hometown and never made any more friends. Trains exist in Equestria, and Starblight never thought, oh, I could go and visit him sometimes. Or maybe I should send him a letter, ask him if we're still friends. Nope, no brain cells for her. My apologies. TLDR, Starlight doesn't know long-distance relationships exist. In all honesty, I actually really like the cutie remark, so the episodes will all play out relatively the same. The only thing I'm changing here is the section with Starlight's backstory and motivations. So let me tell you the way I tackle it. We start out in the scene where Starlight takes Twilight and Spike to her old house. Was my home. The mare started out as they walked up to a window and looked inside. A filly and a colt were sitting together at a table, stacking books and pulling them out from under each other. A silly but popular fool's game. Sunburst was my best friend. We grew up so close, we were practically siblings. Starlight spoke in a gentle voice as she watched the children play, their laughter slightly muffled behind the glass. We were never apart. Until today. The young Starlight pulled a book out from the stack, causing the integrity of the structure to become unstable. This was the point of the game, but the books tipped in her direction, threatening to collapse onto her, if not for Sunburst. Being quick on his hooves, Sunburst summoned his magic to catch the books in mid-fall. Suddenly, in a flash of light, he was levitating off the ground, and the books circled around him with magic. In the next second, all the books were placed onto the bookshelf as young Starlight picked herself up off the floor. As Sunburst floated back down, another flash of light filled the room. When it finally dissipated, Sunburst looked down to find a brand new cutie mark on his flank. The young colt jumped with joy, as did the young Starlight. But as she went over to congratulate her friend, he rushed past and ran outside to his parents, squealing with joy as they held him up and praised him. Look at our son. So gifted. So talented. All the ponies outside crowded around him, cheering his name and singing his praises as they paraded him down the road. All the ponies, but little Starlight. She stood in the doorway, watching every pony get further and further away from the house as she dropped her head in sadness. And just like that, my friend was gone. Starlight spoke up again, her voice a little jilted. His parents had realized his special talent and sent him off to Canterlot the very next day. I didn't even get to say goodbye. Twilight looked at her curiously. Couldn't you have sent a letter or gone to visit him? Surely he'd want to see you. Starlight glared at the alicorn, causing Twilight to shrink back a little. I did. A couple of weeks after he left for Canterlot, I took a train to visit Sunburst at his school. It felt like forever since we last spoke, and I was so looking forward to seeing him again. Starlight gritted her teeth, but when I got there, he wouldn't even see me. What? Twilight looked shocked. He would always be holed up in the library, reading up on spells, barely talking to me. He wouldn't even answer the door when I came to his room. Starlight stomped her hoof on the ground, tears welling up in her eyes. He'd say his studies were too important, that he had to focus on his true calling. So I went back home and locked myself away. I never made another friend out of fear that they'd abandon me because of their cutie mark too. But that's ridiculous. A cutie mark can't take your friends away from you. Twilight shook her head in disbelief and Starlight grit her teeth. Well, not every pony is as lucky enough to get their cutie mark at the same time as their friends. Starlight shouts as she summons her magic to send them back to the day of the rainbow. In my version of events, Sunburst became very vain after getting his cutie mark. But it's mostly due to his parents constantly talking about how important it is and how it will be once it shows up. So it was always in the back of his mind, even as he played with Starlight. So, when it finally appeared, his first thought and reaction was to show his parents and receive their praise. When they ship him off to Celestia's school, he sort of becomes like Twilight, engrossed in his studies and ignoring everything else unless it's some pony over-glorifying his abilities. Eventually, he grows out of this and realizes all too late the friendship he lost. So he becomes a little depressed, which causes his grades to slip, and he ends up flunking like in the original show. I gave it more oomph, though. I could also rewrite the scene where they first reunite, so it won't be as in-depth as what I did for Starlight. It's more so changing parts of the scene to fit my rewrite. To start, when Sunburst answers the door, he doesn't recognize Starlight at first. It's only when she reintroduces herself that he realizes who she is. He's excited to see her, asking how she's been and what she's been up to. Because they were best friends, and he missed her. When Starlight brings up how he's probably busy with important wizard work, yeah, he freaks out a little, since he actually flunked school. But he doesn't just close the door in her face, he invites her in to talk. 'Cause he missed her. The scene with them talking at the table remains relatively the same, but with small differences. Sunburst is more interested in the conversation, while Starlight is being standoffish. Because of this, it keeps the awkwardness, and the dialogue remains the same. In the next scene, Sunburst brings up how weird it is that Twilight wants them to be friends again after so long, and Starlight agrees. I hate that, so here's how I'ma fix it. Sunburst is surprised that Twilight wants to help them be friends again, but he's also really happy about it too. It's Starlight who's still unsure about the whole thing. Dialogue fix. I still can't believe the Princess of Friendship wants to help us be, well, friends again. Sunburst piped up, eyes full of excitement, but doing his best to stay calm and not weird her out. But I don't see how anything on that list will help. He watches Spike quizzically as the little dragon rolls out the scroll further. Starlight chuckles, waving a hoof. I know, right? It's not like there's some kind of spell that would magically compel us to pick up where we left off. Well, actually, there's several. Sunburst ignites his magic, picking up a few books from the nearby shelf. Mistmane's Material Amity, Rockhoof's Report, Flash Prance's Fellowship. He lets out a nervous laugh, noting that he almost rambled on. But obviously the princess isn't looking for a spell. The dialogue continues from there like normal, but when Starlight grabs Spike and starts to leave, Sunburst is visibly saddened by this, but notices her discomfort and lets her leave under the guise that he's busy with important wizard work. In the next scene, Starlight and Spike rush back to Sunburst's house to get his help. The scene plays out mostly the same, but we have more dialogue and scene changes. When Sunburst pretends to shuffle around his books, his nervousness is more apparent to Starlight, so she picks up on it faster. I'm sorry, I really don't know if I can help right now. Important wizard stuff to take care of, you know? Starlight looks at him in confusion, clearly appalled by his lack of initiative. Sunburst, I'm sure you're busy, but did you even hear what I just said? Still facing away from her, Sunburst still tries to brush off the subject. No, I heard you, but like I said, when you're an important wizard— Sunburst! Starlight shouts to get his attention. Sunburst turned around, looking a little dejected. Look, I want to help you, Starlight. I really do. But I just can't. And the rest of the scene plays out sort of the same. but Sunburst sounds more somber and disappointed in himself instead of being snippy at Starlight, cause ain't no reason to get snippy at her, bro, goddamn. And when he talks about magic school, he brings up how he started getting overwhelmed by all the spells that he couldn't do, and how the praise severely died down. And after losing Starlight, he lost his spark and eventually flopped out. Starlight still has the same dialogue, and I think it still fits, because Starlight will still say she doesn't know what school was like for him. The "did you really travel through time" part of his dialogue really irritates me. Like, she literally just poured her heart out to you, and the first thing you say is, "Oh my god, you time traveled?" So instead, it should go something like this. Alright, you got me there. His gaze drops to the ground as he lets out a small sad chuckle. I'm really sorry we lost touch. By the time I actually realized what I'd done, you were already gone. He looks back up to meet her gaze. Maybe if I hadn't let the praise get to my head, we'd never have split up, and I could have helped you not become totally evil. Starlight smiled sheepishly, wiping away a stray tear. Sunburst smiles back. End scene. And the rest of the episode plays out normally. There, I did it. I changed 2 entire backstories. I am a trooper. When it comes to Starlight's character, I honestly do like her a lot. I think they wrote her personality pretty well, and the redemption was decent. Not great, but decent. Do I wish they gave her a little more depth? Yes. Do I realize this was primarily a children's show and was not originally created for such complex stories? No, I do not. I refuse to accept that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please hit the like and subscribe button if you can, and turn on your notifications to stay tuned. If I ever even upload again. If there's a particular part of my rewrite that you liked, please leave me a comment to tell me all about it. I love to know what you thought or what you do differently. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!